Well, hello again, Fusion family, and welcome to week 4 of this Connect group session. Hope that you guys have been enjoying the time in your groups up to this point, and want to thank you for welcoming me in whatever capacity that I'm welcomed into your group this week to share with you a little bit of my takeaway from Romans chapter 11. Before we get there though, just a couple of things that I want to keep in front of all of us so that we maintain an awareness of them and make some plans for them is, first of all, every session, as most of you know, we want to make sure that all of our groups are participating in a community service project. So if you have yet to decide or have yet to complete the planning for your group's community service project this session, make sure you talk about that stuff before you guys leave tonight. We want to make sure that that's something that we keep in front of everybody, something that we're active in pursuing and making sure is happening. So come up with a plan if you don't have one yet, or complete some planning to make sure that it happens sometime in the next 5 to 6 weeks as we near the end of this session together. Also, we wanted to remind all of you to be making plans to join us the evening of November the 20th. That's going to be a night of worship that's going to be held at the Kannapolis YMCA. We're going to invite some other churches to participate. The YMCA has made that a community event, so members of the community are going to be invited as well. We think it's going to be a fantastic time of worship and connection with God, connection with our church family. We really want you guys to be part of that. So November 20th at 6 p.m. that evening is going to be the community night of worship, again, held in our spot on our stage with all of our stuff. And so I think it's going to be a really, really great time, and I want you guys to make plans to be there. Now, like I said, this week, as groups and as individuals, we've been working through Romans chapter 11, and I wanted to give you just a few of my takeaways from Romans chapter 11. I think it's a great chapter where Paul really addresses the relationship between the nation of Israel and the Jewish people and God, and the Gentiles and their relationship with God, and he draws our attention to some of those dynamics. And so my big takeaway from the thing is I see this picture of how the nation of Israel were so focused on what had been asked of them and focused on their religion and their tradition that they missed Jesus. When Jesus showed up, they were so just laser focused in on the way things had always been and how they had always interacted with God that they missed the very thing that their religion pointed them to, which was the coming Messiah. And they missed it. They were so focused on what they had always done that they missed what was happening and what was to come. And I think that we can be guilty of something very similar. And so, the nation of Israel, in their disobedience and in their unawareness of who Jesus was and the change and the shift that was making right underneath their feet and in front of them, they missed it because they were so focused on their religion and their traditions. And one of the verses that really stuck out to me was actually verse 32 in chapter 11, for it says this, it says, "For God has imprisoned all in disobedience so that he may have mercy on all." And just like the nation of Israel, most of them got it wrong, except for the remnant that Paul talks about in Romans 11. Most of them got it wrong. Some of them got it right. And the ones that got it wrong, Paul is saying here, look, even those that got it wrong and missed Jesus, they still have an opportunity to come to Jesus, that hasn't been removed from them yet. Now, God has a special relationship with the nation of Israel, and I believe that one day there's going to be a returning of the nation of Israel to the fold, into the family of God. But what Paul also makes us aware of in Romans 11 is that we as Gentiles now have access to the gospel, and God is using the relationship of Gentiles with our Heavenly Father to actually inspire and motivate the nation of Israel to return. And so here was my big takeaway and the big question that I wanted to ask myself, and I'm going to ask you to ask yourself as well, and in the midst of the rest of the conversation that you're going to have tonight, is this question: have I settled so deeply into what God has already asked of me that I can't hear or see what God might ask of me going forward? In other words, what I have done up to this point, am I so deeply ingrained into that I have the potential to miss what God might ask of me going forward? Is my yes always on the table, or is there something right now that God could ask me to do that I would be disobedient to because of how grained I am in what I already have, or what God has already provided, or what God has already asked of me? I think we always have to keep an awareness on ourselves of the ability of ourselves to step into whatever God calls us to next. Have some more discussion about that amongst your group, as well as the rest. There's a lot more in Romans 11 that you and your group can talk through, but that was my big takeaway, and I hope that inspires some thought from you. I pray that you guys have a great time together in conversation. Make sure you spend some time in prayer together sometime before you leave tonight. And until we see you again, I love you guys, and I hope that you have a great rest of your meeting together tonight.